Throughout varied cultures, in particular corvids are associated with death, trickery, and misfortune. We still see magpies as creatures of superstition. A singular magpie evoking bad luck with the rhyme 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, and so on, counteracting this superstition by tipping your hat, spinning 3 times, saluting, or saying the phrase, "Good morning, Mr. Magpie, where is your wife?" Finding a dead crow at the side of the road is considered good luck, whereas in contrast, harming a robin is seen as bad luck. Myths say that the robin's red breast came from trying to remove the thorns from Christ's crown, staining its feathers red. This leads into the religious implications creating this narrative. In Christianity, magpies again have various omens to their name, being the only creature not to enter the ark, but to sit outside chattering along to something above. Magpies also being the only bird not to comfort Jesus on the cross by singing. A word from the church once said magpies had a drop of devil's blood on their tongues. This encouraged Victorians to cut out their tongues to release this, allowing them to be capable of human speech. Other corvids, like the crow and the raven, have also been persecuted. In Hindi, Duvamati, the beautiful goddess of death and transformation, was more often depicted riding a crow, as well as the Egyptian goddess, Nephthys, another one associated with death and the crow. In Irish mythology, the Morrigan is the goddess of war and death, a being that shapeshifts into a raven. Not only are these goddesses shown as a symbol of death, but as a woman. Woman deities and corvids have had a curse put upon them. The association through tales and beliefs has warped our modern-day perception of what was, at one point, a valued relationship with them into fear. The Morrigan is a part of the Tuatha De Danann, a divine collective of deities thought to have roamed Irish lands before Christ. Bringing knowledge and gifts to whom they favoured, they embodied warrior heroes, wisdom, creativity, and leadership. The Morrigan is seen as a triad, though some see her as 3 singular beings or 3 singular aspects of one being Baib, Niman, and Macha, sisters in which aid in war and death, in the body of crows and ravens. Stories in which have survived show her moving the tides of a battlefield, flying above, shrieking fear and doom to her foes, giving battle frenzy and bravery to her allies, creating this fear among soldiers when the crows and ravens appeared. Whether they believed in the Morrigan or other deities mentioned, they still had the reputation of predicting death. Their intelligence allowed them to remember patterns of behavior. Being opportunistic scavengers, they would find battlefields as a plentiful source of food. They would learn that large numbers of soldiers marching meant food availability, enforcing the ideology of them predicting death and bloodshed. It's understandable in a way that they have harbored this demonization. Observers saw this behavior and made links to death and the devil. However, other areas of Norse mythology have a more positive perspective on the spiritual connections towards corvids, showing their intelligence before scientific evidence as a valid messenger. 2 ravens sit on his shoulder and whisper all the news which they see and hear into his eye. They are called Hugin and Munin. He sends them out in the morning to fly around the whole world, and by breakfast they are back again. Thus he finds out many new things, and this is why he's called the Raven God. Stories with Odin's alliance with these creatures, aiding him through the battles and protecting the 9 realms. The Poetic Edda reveals Odin's anxieties about their return every journey. I fear for Hudin, as he may not return, yet more do I fear for Munin. This acknowledges the dependence Odin has on these ravens to aid his knowledge and oversight of his people, so he can best protect and rule them. Soldiers believed it was honourable to die in battle for Odin and his kingdom, as they would reach Valhalla and feed Odin's ravens, which in turn allowed Odin to receive further insight and knowledge to help his people. When experiencing Odin's ravens at the battlefield, people thought that it was an honorable thing that if they died, they were feeding them to aid Odin. When the Morrigan's crows were seen, it was more feared, as there were more uncertainties upon what side she would favour. I believe the Morrigan embodies these complexities of life as well as death. She isn't someone to be feared, but she is someone to help with challenging inner battles, giving you direct guidance no matter its difficulty. She guides the transformation of our being through stages of our utmost hardship. To change the perspective on the corvids, we first need to confront and change our perspectives on death. From the fear of the end to more of a transitional step to the next phase of being. From a pagan perspective, death was never a final rupture, but a transition, a passage into another realm where the soul could continue its journey. Death being perceived as a part of the eternal cycle, birth, death, and rebirth. This gives reassurance that death is not the terror of the end, which we are led to perceive, but a cyclical process of the other worlds. This changes our perspective on how we interpret these birds, from the main association with death, but rather an understanding of their guidance and protection of us to our next step in the cycle. Changing our feelings towards death automatically changes our views and connotations of birds to a more positive light. Biljana Sincerovic is an eco-feminist performance-based artist whose work embodies women's acknowledgement of the meaning, the circle. She represents females throughout past, present, and future, the eternal cycle of life and death, and the mother goddess, with the ritual circle of women. The purpose of the ritual is to harbour a connection between us and the corvids, to open a dialogue of understanding and respect instead of the current perception and relationship which is built on the fear of death.